The situation with YG has gotten crazy. Flu, Flammers, Skull Douglas, and larcenies. So we got DJ Akademiks to give us his dissertation of exactly what's going on with the YG situation as far as DRAKEO the Rule is concerned. Let's get into this content. Let's get into it. Let's
go. So the police is kind of like heating up this investigation. I don't even know this particular arm of the police does investigations of this sort, but it's California Highway Patrol. They have now launched a full-on investigation into the death of DRAKEO the Ruler, but they seem to be targeting not only YG, but his gang. So if you don't know, apparently there was a huge fight at this festival that happened in California. I'm gonna try to summarize where all this stuff comes from. DRAKEO the Ruler, he's an artist from the West Coast. He's from California, and apparently after doing some time in jail, he came out, but he was dissing a lot of like gangs in people's hoods. So he was one of those people. He was kind of like, in a way, like Fulio. He was dissing people, and people were wondering, how does he get to move around dissing so many people? And some people would suspect, they just ain't bump into him yet. Anyway, there was a festival that happened, and he was there. He went there, and apparently there was a huge melee and a huge brawl with some other people that he dissed. People are thinking it's YG's gang. Treetop Pyrus. I think that's their name. Treetop, right? Is that his gang? Is that his gang? What gang is YG in? Yeah, Treetop Pyrus. So apparently there's a huge fight, and they're saying in the fight, someone brandishes a knife. Now, this is on the compounds of this festival, so people should have got searched. There's not no guns, but people probably snuck in like a knife or a shank or something like that. And in this jumping in this fight, where supposedly he was completely outnumbered, he gets stabbed a couple times and he dies. Now, people have wondered, why hasn't this thing been solved? Like, how come nobody has solved this? Well, it's heated up recently where the police went to No Jumper. They're asking questions. Hey, listen, we want to talk to Munchie B. Munchie B had previously said he knows who killed DRAKEO the Ruler. He passes the bottle with him. All right, we want to talk to Munchie B. They said they wanted to talk to Adam. Maybe they think Adam has a recorded podcast with people, or maybe have footage of people just nonchalantly talking about DRAKEO's murder that could help their investigation. We've seen Flakko, who covers the West Coast a good amount, and he dropped the phone number of a detective supposedly working it. But the most interesting development was YG getting detained while the police did a search warrant. And the brief detainment shows, how far along this investigation is at. Now, I could tell you this. When judges are signing off on search warrants, it means that there is probable cause. So you need probable cause for a search warrant. A judge has to review what you have as probable cause. They then make the determination, hey, we're going to allow this search warrant. So I think we have to be realistic and say whatever investigation they have going on, I'm not saying that YG is a target of it, but they do believe that they had some probable cause to search either him, his car, his phone, or whatever he was the subject of the search warrant for. Now, we don't know exactly what they searched. This doesn't look like where he lives at. They detained him for a second. They could have just taken his phone. They could have, just searched his car.
Let's also keep in mind that Flakko and everything that he's been reporting has been grossly inaccurate, and Flacco's been telling a lot of lies.
But they indeed had a search warrant. Now, what this means to me is that this is going to come to a point where a grand jury is going to have to sit through and obviously the judge determines if there's a probable cause for a search warrant, but you're going to have a grand jury who's going to determine if there's probable cause for charges. And that's how it goes. It appears that YG is kind of in the crosshairs. Now, I would think, I would really think that maybe, okay, apparently these guys can get along like that. Maybe it was somebody from YG's gang, but I'm not going to lie. I don't want to use the word, I guess I am going to use it. The noose is kind of tightening around YG's neck, like, no pun intended. Because what happened is that, and let me just play the video of him being detained. That's him there. By the way, he doesn't look like he was in cuffs.
No, he's just being detained. He's just being questioned. He's being
Right?
walked away
These
outside
look
the
like
studio.
detectives.
This is a music studio. He was at a recording studio.
Look like they may have like even brought him somewhere to have them give them access to something, or maybe they even try to question him. We don't know. Well, this is why it's getting very, very complicated for YG. So there's a bodyguard for DRAKEO the Ruler. And apparently in a deposition, not connected to this current investigation, but it will be because the cops are going to look at it because they're already issuing warrants and doing them or serving them. Apparently DRAKEO security had testified in a deposition that the person who killed DRAKEO had on a mask. They had a knife in their hand. And the security guard believes, because DRAKEO was there with like 1 or 2 security, but they got jumped by like 25 people. The security believes the person that was the person who stabbed him to death, who had on a mask or a balaclava, whatever, that's covering his face. They believe that person was YG. So he testified to that in a deposition. Okay? I want to show you this deposition, or the report about the deposition. And this is why this is pretty much heating up. Where, again, we don't know if it's YG, but you never know. This could carry, here we go. This could carry a RICO charge. DRAKEO the Ruler security. Okay, he testified under oath that YG brandished a knife during a fatal backstage brawl. Now, LA Times reported on this. It says a former security for the rapper DRAKEO the Ruler testified under oath that he saw rapper YG produce a knife and slash it towards him in the backstage fight in which DRAKEO the Ruler was fatally stabbed, according to a recent obtained deposition excerpt. Ulrich Cooper, who was part of DRAKEO's security.
Sheesh. Now you got Akademiks breaking down the testimony from DRAKEO the Ruler's security guard. This is finna get ugly.
Detail at Once Upon a Time in LA said YG was front and center during the December 18, 2021 brawl and was one of the 3 men he saw carrying what appeared to be a short, improvised knife. He said YG, whose real name is Keenan Jackson, was wearing a ski mask, but he recognized the rapper Hazel Eyes as he tried to protect DRAKEO, whose legal name was Darryl Caldwell Jr. Representatives for YG never responded immediately, but that is it. The excerpt comes from Cooper's March 19, 2025 deposition, which surfaced last month in a court filing by attorneys representing DRAKEO's family in a civil suit against the festival organizers and security contractors. It adds more context to the fight after law enforcement investigating the killing searched the Burbank property and detained YG in the process on Thursday. The California Highway Patrol, with help of the Burbank Police Department and SWAT team, briefly detained YG while the officers searched the property. He was released after the search, and he was not arrested. By the way, this was the same day as the verses. Okay? So it's looking like the security guard is more than likely going to tell the police that, yes, he saw YG with a knife. Now, currently, he's not saying he saw YG kill DRAKEO, but YG is now a person of interest because if the fight ended up with someone being stabbed to death and you're in the fight and you have a knife, you become damn near the main suspect.
You for sure become damn near the main suspect. Now, nobody's saying you did it, but you looking like you the suspect. I ain't gonna...
YG's repeatedly denied involvement in DRAKEO's death. On his June 2026 song, We Know the Truth, he rejected allegations connecting him to the killing and said he learned after arriving to perform at the festival that someone had been stabbed. Okay, so that's differs from what the bodyguard is saying. The bodyguard said he was front and center. Okay? They say he was front and center. Oh my God. Why did This nigga 6ix9ine sent me one of my clips. He's laughing like crazy. So a CHP spokesperson says the agency can't comment on this ongoing open investigation. And when asked if YG was a suspect or a person interested in the case, they're saying no one has been arrested in an ongoing murder case. The NBC Los Angeles reported that the warrant was served as part of the continuing homicide investigation. CHP told NBC that YG was present when officers arrived and was released when the search was completed. DRAKEO's son and other relatives, along with Cooper, sued Live Nation, C3 Presents, but whatever, and contractors from February 2022, alleging the companies involved in staging and securing the festival failed to protect DRAKEO from a foreseeable attack. YG is not listed in the suit as a defendant. Interesting. I wonder, how did they get this video then if...
Wait, say that one more time. Hold on.
Then the companies involved in staging and securing the festival failed to protect DRAKEO from a foreseeable attack. YG is not listed in the suit.
So YG is not listed as a defendant. So even more proof that Flakko has been lying on YG. Now you have DJ Akademiks proving that Flakko has been lying on YG. And it's pretty apparent to see that, you know, from the statements that YG, again, not listed as a defendant, it would be pretty clear that if he's not listed as a defendant, that means that the police are not looking at him as a subject in this matter. So I'm not sure, again, why Flakko is so hammering in on this, but, you know, it is what it is. But it's interesting, bro. This is a tricky, Mickey, Vicky, sticky situation. But shout out to Akademiks for proving Flakko to be a liar.
As a defendant. Interesting. I wonder, how did they get this video then if they're claiming they just popped up? They popped up, they knew YG was there. Right? So they knew he was there. I feel like they wanted to detain him to try to question him. And how did the cameras know to record? That camera recording don't seem like some random person. That seems like either paparazzi or somebody you tip off from the press. Cooper testified DRAKEO's group was confronted by at least 20 to 25 people backstage. When asked if he recognized anyone from the opposing group, he says he only recognized YG. They asked, was he directly involved in the fight? An attorney from DRAKEO family asked. He said yes, he was front and center. He said that the attackers divided into groups and surrounded DRAKEO's party near the artist entry. Some wore red clothing, ski masks, and hoodies, and Cooper said the festival security personnel failed to intervene and instead closed two gates that could have provided an escape route. They actually closed the gate and trapped us where we couldn't leave. According to his account, one exit was blocked by security personnel while attackers swarmed the other side in the backstage area. Cooper said he initially struck one of the approaching men and momentarily lost his footing. Then he found himself fighting YG. So the security guard claimed he was fighting YG himself. And a man he described as YG's bodyguard, with DRAKEO positioned a foot or two behind him and to his right. And then YG produced a knife from his left hand. Cooper testified, describing the weapon as appearing to emerge from Jackson's sleeve. I think it's Jackson's YG. And when I saw that, I backed up. As confrontation continued, he says the attackers moved towards DRAKEO and swarmed over him. Police arrived almost simultaneously, according to Cooper, and began breaking up the fight. Cooper described the weapon he attributed to YG as a silver blade, approximately 3 to 4 inches. He did not see a handle, compared its appearance to an improvised prison shank. He was slashing at me, like getting me to back up. He said he was not stabbed. Cooper said he saw 2 men standing near YG with similar weapons. He described one man as being immediately beside YG and another position between them. Cooper said he concluded the men were armed after observing movements that differed from the ordinary punching. Once I saw the stabbing, jabbing motion, Cooper testified, he tried to move away from those individuals. Cooper described one of the men as bald, approximately 5'9" or 5'10", with a light brown or hazel eyes, with a blue pattern crew neck t-shirt. Oh, that's the YG. That's YG's description, I think. He described the third man. One of the other men, so that's not YG. He described one of the third as a similar-sized black man with dreadlocks, but said he couldn't remember the man's clothing. Cooper estimated YG was approximately 6'1" or 6'2", So how did he identify him behind a mask? He acknowledged the person he identified as YG was wearing a black baklava that only exposed the area around his eyes. He said the man also wore a black bomber-style jacket, a black pants with red stripes, and shiny shoes. Now, chat, this is going to be very important because the cops are going to be able to corroborate certain things. Did YG have that outfit on at the festival? So even if he had a mask on, if it corroborates with the description of him,
if the fit matches the script, it's going to be a problem.
And when he was walking around asked how he could make the identification with much of the man's face covered, he said he had met YG a lot and he had recognized his eyes, body type, height, and walking demeanor. He also testified that the members of the attacking group taunted DRAKEO during the confrontation. He says he recalls hearing statements like, "Is this DRAKEO? Is this who I think it is? What you want to do? Now we finally got him." He also reported hearing blood gang expressions from "Sue Whoop" to "Sup, blood?" and seen individuals beating their chests. Early in the deposition, Cooper had said he had previously intervened when the two rappers encountered each other outside of a recording studio. So DRAKEO and YG supposedly. According to Cooper, YG approached DRAKEO and asked, "Yo, what's up with all that internet shit, nigga?" And Cooper said he had to defuse that encounter. Cooper also cited DRAKEO's 2021 song, Ingle Weird, interviews and music videos released by the artists associated with the two camps as evidence of an escalating dispute. He recalled a summer 2021 interview featuring YG and two other artists in which, according to Cooper, someone says, "We don't do that internet stuff. The homie's gonna get you." Cooper insisted that the history led him to warn DRAKEO before the festival that more security was needed. He believed that there was a substantial chance the two artists and their two entourages would encounter each other as DRAKEO left the stage of the festival grounds. All parties will be back in court for then. That is interesting. It's kind of heating up now, Chad. Wow. YG interview 2021. See if we can find it. Is this it?
No Jumper, coolest podcast in the world, and today I'm in here.
Maybe this is an interview.
With YG and a few members of his squad. How you doing?
Let me see if I can
I'm
find
solid.
it.
What up, bro? What's poppin'?
Feeling good, man.
You straight?
Oh, super straight.
Yeah, you look like an MMA fighter or something.
Do I really? Oh man, he came in here.
Look like one, but he ain't one. We all saw how he got his feet whooped.
He turned the roast on as soon as the camera goes on. All right, let's see what this is about to be like.
Nah, I'm fucking with you, man. What's poppin'? We got D3 in the building. Mitch, Dave Solana.
That's the double time.
A gang of artists, and they signed.
Just wanted to know if you were going to still keep working with them.
Slim wasn't signed to YG. We from the same hood, from the same block. So, like I told Slim, like we talk about this all the time. I said, bro, you don't gotta sign to me. You got me already. Like you don't gotta sign, bro. You 400. You know what I'm saying? So like,
Here we go.
feel me? Cause I told
Right.
Come, we trying to make hits. We gonna move around, nigga, get rich, nigga, and have fun, nigga. All that rap beef and all that shit. We not rap beefing. We really beefing. The homies gonna get you. Shit, we don't.
That's okay. Now it's making sense. It's clear. The police is looking at YG and the Treetop dudes as the killers. They do believe that fight where he got stabbed was the Treetops jumping, the Treetop dudes jumping DRAKEO.
Notice that Akademiks doesn't name any of the people who Flakko has been naming. None of them. Not one.
And because of that, they went to... Adam said the cops wanted to talk to him too. Adam got nothing to do with anything. But Adam is in control of this video. And when, just like they came to me when 6ix9ine had sent me a video when they were trying to lock up 6ix9ine, they're going to Adam because they want the full interview of this and anything that was edited out. So yeah, they're preparing a possible RICO indictment against the Treetops and YG over this death, clearly. It's clear. Like if they're going to No Jumper and it's referenced in this thing saying, oh, YG said before, oh, we not rap beefing, we really beefing, the homies gonna get you. That's also a RICO type of statement. The homies gonna get you, showing that y'all issues weren't just personal. It really kind of expanded towards this gang. So I'm gonna be honest with you. If I'm YG, I would prepare for an indictment before the end of the year.
But rap, no, we not on none of that. Nigga. We trying to make hits.
Let me
Rap,
just go back.
you
Go back a little bit.
See what happened? Hey D, did you set us up? No, I'm playing.
You ever think about times like that and you're like, damn, I can't believe I'm still thriving, still alive. Like there's been so many fucking crazy situations like that, right?
Man, yeah, I was just talking to the homie about that shit the other day. Like we've been through a lot of shit and got up out of that thing real smooth. Yeah, it's crazy. It's a blessing.
It's a beautiful thing.
Yeah, for sure.
What would be your advice to any of them if they sort of started to get into any sort of like beefing for, not beef, obviously you're going to have beef with people in your life, but beefing as part of the music, like using that as kind of a marketing tool to an extent, or dropping songs about people, shit like that.
So remember, DRAKEO the Ruler had this song called Ingle Weird, right? Let me see if I could play it. And that was a song that a lot of people felt was dissing so many people. Ingle. I don't know if I could play without copyright.
Yeah, we're gonna pass that because I don't want to get copywritten. Yeah, it's a copyright. I don't want to. Yeah, I'm going to get past that because it's gonna get us copywritten. Yeah, that's gonna be a good copyright.
Puts on some music. I said, damn, who was that? That sound like Drake. That's me. He influenced me to rap in his style.
Okay. Anyway.
Hey, you think it's wise?
I mean, like, like when you rapping and you doing music and you dealing with shit, you gonna talk about it in your songs. Like I done talked about a lot of niggas in my songs, but I don't ever make it to where it's like it sound like I'm coming for somebody. But when I be talking about hood shit and I'm talking about, yeah, we just slid on the enemigos and the ops and all that, it's like people be knowing, like, if you know, you know. If you don't, you don't. I'm not finna be going out there doing no rap diss and shit, cause like, if it's smoke, it's really smoke with us. We ain't playing, you know? So, like, I'm gonna tell the homies the same shit, like, bro, I done told D3 that, like, we ain't doing none of that weird shit for nothing, for the rap. No, we not on none of that, nigga. We trying to make hits. We gonna move around, nigga, get rich, nigga, and have fun, nigga. All that rap beef and all that shit. We not rap beefing, we really beefing. The homies gonna get you. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, we ain't even trying to do that. We chilling. We not on that. So
Yeah, I ain't gonna lie. They gonna put this nigga at the top of the king. They gonna put him at the kingpin of the goddamn Treetop Pirus, basically saying that he's over here ordering shit. Yeah, he better hope they don't come down with an indictment, man. He gonna be cooked. Well, not cooked, but he's gonna be charged. Even if he didn't do the stabbing.
you know what I'm saying? That's what I tell the homies. That's what I tell the homies that my niggas who I be with, that I hang with, you know what I'm saying? Niggas like D3, young niggas, like, bro, that's not cool. Like, we ain't doing none of that.
Right. It's kind of like a shortcut to like getting you a couple million views, Because there's like
but
a
it ain't
certain...
even. It's not even like, bro. Like, I mean, like the younger generation. You feel me? They doing that shit a lot, and it's like, it's like we ain't grow up like that, so we not with that. We against that. But the younger generation, they growing up like that, bro. They really on Instagram, on live, talking to they ops. Nigga, I'm about to hit your block, and they really come hit they block and wet it up. Like, it's crazy. But, you know what I'm saying? That's the young generation. But we from the other shit, so we gonna pass the shit that we know on to the, you feel me, to the homies. And it's gonna help them, because it's gonna keep you out of bullshit. Because you don't want to get in the situation and start making money. Then you gotta go sit it down and do some jail time. Like over some bullshit that you didn't really have to do. Now, if you really gotta go lay somebody down, you gotta go do your shit.
All right. I know Flakko gonna have the details on this. Oh yeah, Flakko got it.
But then Flakko got it, but then Flakko got it wrong. Like, Flakko is over here saying Gloves is from BPS. That's not true. He's saying Frankenstone did X, Y, and Z. That's not true. Flakko's just really telling a bunch of lies.
There you go.
YG is absolutely cooked after DRAKO security guard just identified YG as one of the individuals who was holding knives when DRAKO the Ruler was ambushed, attacked, and ultimately murdered when he showed up to do a concert. I don't know if YG knew this was coming down the pipeline, if he was tipped off to knowing that July was going to be the month of exposure, but YG dropped a song last month where he's explaining why he didn't murder DRAKO the Ruler and why he couldn't have paid for DRAKO the Ruler to have been murdered. So YG starts off by saying that he couldn't have been the person who murdered DRAKO the Ruler, or he couldn't have been involved, because if it was true, people who was saying he did it will be a rat and he will be in a cell. But because he's not in a jail cell currently, even that explanation is dumb. There are people who commit crimes and get picked up 10 years later all the time, or 5 years later in the case of YG. There are people who commit crimes and get away with it for a couple of years before getting picked up, okay? So just because you have not been arrested yet or you are not in a cell does not mean you would never be arrested or never be put in a cell for this. All right, so even that explanation is dumb. Now, in the case of YG, shortly after dropping that record, CHP and LAPD pull up on him with a murder search warrant, and they received a couple of property from YG, including his phone. So it looks like he spoke a little too soon. He then proceeds by saying, I got paid $600,000 for the show. Why would I tell somebody to F it up though? As if money has ever been a motivating factor for rappers not to go to jail. Of course, okay? So, but rappers mess up their multi-million-dollar career all the time. Lil Durk got like $40 million record deal, and he's currently sitting in jail right now for revenge. You wanted revenge on DRAKO the Ruler, and that's a very plausible reason to why you will throw away $600,000 in exchange for DRAKO the Ruler's life. Like that's not unbelievable, bro. Right? So none of these explanations make sense. But then he messes up. He goes and he says, yo, I got paid $600 for the show. So why would I tell a ninja to F it up, though? And that's a fact you should know. Slim just died. I wasn't worried about, bro. I came to get the dough. Was finna hit the stage. Then I heard how y'all heard somebody got hit with a blade. But this part right here will be his biggest mistake. So first off, he actually admits that he went through the artist entrance and he was actually at the festival. See, because YG's performance got canceled. So for the most part, YG could have said, man, I wasn't there. I was in my car. Right? It got canceled 45 minutes before I was supposed to hit the stage. The festival, all the other performances got canceled at 8:45 p.m. YG was supposed to perform at 9:30. So YG could have said, bro, this was like an hour beforehand, because DRAKO apparently got there at about what they said about 8 p.m., 8:20, right? Around 8:20 to 8:30-ish. And everything took place within like 3 minutes. So YG could have said, bro, this happened an hour before I was set to perform. I never got there. My performance got canceled. I don't know what y'all talking about. But he puts himself there. But then also, too, he lies. He says, I was about to hit the stage. I was about to walk on stage when I found out that DRAKO the Ruler passed away. That was so dumb. It was just so dumb. Because first of all, YG wasn't set to perform until 9:30. DRAKO the Ruler walked in and everything took place at around 8:20 to 8:30. DRAKO the Ruler, once he got stabbed, everything got shut down by 8:45 p.m. All the performances got canceled by 8:45.
Now, it's crazy that Flakko is only regurgitating what has already been put into the universe and was only been put into the atmosphere by respectable rants. But he's also having to walk back a lot of things that he said because Flakko put out a lot of lies and a lot of misinformation, for sure.
p.m. So 45 minutes before YG was set to perform, everything got canceled and the police was evacuating everybody from out the building. So YG could have easily said, I never made it in. This took place an hour before I was set to perform. I was still in my Sprinter van. No. YG says, no, I was in the building. I was walking on stage when I heard this. Cut it out. But also, here's why it's dumb. Because everything got canceled 45 minutes before, the stages got shut down, the police was evacuating. We know YG was not on stage. Well, if you was present, again, like you said, you was at the festival, you was in the building. Well, your security guard was on camera fighting. If he was fighting at around 8:30 and you was around, you was in the building, like you said, then where were you at? Where were you at? If your personal security guard, Gloves, was fighting on camera, we see Gloves' face on camera fighting, then where was you at if you claim you was in the building? See, y'all get to talking too much and y'all get to thinking like y'all can outsmart everybody.
Yeah, that is going to be a point. If you're
That is going to be an ugly point, I ain't going to lie. Now, when it comes to all the other people Flakko were mentioning, all the other names Flakko were mentioning, it's clear that these people are not involved at all. You know what I'm saying? It's a clear flu flam, but the other shit, sheesh.
personal security is fighting in some melee and drama, it's hard for you to say you weren't near. Why would your security just be isolated from you unless you sent him to go do something?
Well, we found out exactly where YG was at today because DRAKEO's security guard had a deposition. And during this deposition, he actually gave a step-by-step of exactly what he saw, who he recognized, who had a knife, and he walked us through the entire moment leading up to DRAKEO the Ruler's death. Now, much of this, if you watch this channel, you know I already broke this down to a science, letting you guys know the exact movements already, but people ain't believe me. They thought I was capping. So you're about to hear it from the security guard's mouth. Now, I'm going to use the help of my boy, Respectable Rants, right? You know, he did a great breakdown. He read the document thoroughly. So we're going to go to Respectable Rants to hear where DRAKEO's security guard identifies YG and also breaks down the exact series of events that led up to DRAKEO the Ruler dying.
He would then say that he knows YG did an interview on No Jumper that was publicly released. He told them it was released in the summer of 2021 and that a lot happened in that 3 to 4 month period. They then asked him who was the interview with, and he would respond and say YG and his 2 artists. They would then ask him what was said about DRAKEO or DRAKEO's camp, and he would respond and say that YG said we don't do that internet stuff and that the homie's gonna get you. They would then ask him that based on his knowledge and understanding, what gangs were YG and his crew affiliated with. And he would say the Inglewood families, and I think they're called the Treetop Pyrus. That's what YG claims. They would then ask him, are the Inglewood families a Blood or a Crip subset? And he would say Bloods. They would then ask him what are the Treetop Pyrus, and he would say they call themselves Pyrus, but they're still Bloods. They would then ask him how many passes were given to DRAKEO, and he would say 10. They would then ask him about the 10 passes, and he would say 4 videographers, 2 DJs, DRAKEO, Ralphie, him, and the last person was a video editor that was a female. They would then ask him, did any promoters or security companies reach out to DRAKEO in the weeks leading up to the festival? And he would respond and say, as far as I know, I was supposed to meet up with a guy named Wack 100, who was supposed to coordinate me with Snoop Dogg. But other than that, I never spoke with anyone about anything.
Wack has spoken about this in the past, and honestly, I'll be real. Again, this is not glazing, okay? Y'all about to say it's glazing. I do believe that if Wack 100 was there, DRAKEO would still be alive. Let me explain. When he says DRAKEO told me I was supposed to contact some dude called Wack 100, that's because Wack 100 had Blueface, Game, and other artists that was set to perform. Now, because he had like 4 to 5 artists, Wack had 100 passes. So Wack had 100 people with him. If DRAKEO came with 10 people, that's 110 that Wack would have had with him.
I'm waiting for Flakko to explain where he can implement all these other names that he was naming.
Wack is also a Blood. The Game is a Blood. Game and YG got their like partnership. They wouldn't have stabbed and killed DRAKEO in front of Wack, Game, and everybody else that's riding with Wack who were Bloods and Crips. You feel, right? Like they would go in front of him, especially if the Game is there like, hey, bro, chill. He with me tonight, bro. YG, chill. Right? So I think DRAKEO would have still been alive. So when he brings up Wack, that's what he's referring to. Now, Wack ultimately left because DRAKEO told Wack he was like 30 minutes away like 4 different times. And so Wack just thought, okay, he's not showing up.
I think Wack spoke on this before.
No rest. Shit. Happened in a public venue. You gotta ask Munchie B. He always point out people that had something to do with it or was there. I think he the only one assisting them. Maybe he ain't a reliable, credible source. He's the only one I seen on the internet naming people that was there, and naming this and naming that. But I mean, it was on video. We all seen the video. It looks like it was a rumble. You know, I missed it by like 15 minutes. We was actually waiting on DRAKEO to make sure he got in and out right. But shit, we waited on him an hour and something. You know, I had 100 tickets. I had 4 artists performing. I had Game, I had Blueface, Coyote, and True Car. So I told Nephew we was gonna wait up for him and make sure he got in and out of there right. But after holding Blue and holding Game and the team a whole hour, they was with it. And like, bro, we don't think he gonna show up. Let's roll. I called his little brother and then was there early, about 5 o'clock.
Yeah.
And, you know, they was good. By the time we got to the Sprinter and got to the freeway, we got the call. He was dead.
So you mean to tell me that if he wasn't late, there's a reasonable chance he would have lived?
Greg, we was 100 deep.
Yeah.
We was 100 deep, and we had people with us, a large amount of people with us that knew people from whatever he was involved in. So I think between the politics and, you know, and it being, you know, the numbers, you know, I think the problem would have been diffused at that time. 90% sure it would have been.
That's sad, man.
It might have been some head-up squabbles. You know what I'm saying? We was already prepared for that to happen, but it wouldn't have just been what that was like that. You know what I'm saying?
So do you
I actually think Wack telling the truth. I've never seen Wack kind of dance around describing something. You know, this is actually
Wack dances around describing a lot of things, but I think this might be one of the rare occasions where Wack is actually telling the truth, because DRAKEO the Ruler's security guard is corroborating the same story.
he describing some real shit.
think that ultimately this will be a cold case forever?
I don't know, because all I know is what I saw on the internet. You know what I'm saying?
Wasn't much.
All I know is what I saw. I saw the little fight, and I saw a few people get knocked out. I saw a few people squabbling. You know, I can't say that's when he got stabbed. I don't know.
Supposedly there was a video of the fight.
Right, you know, like I think at some point DRAKEO stopped communicating, so Wack just thought, okay, like he's not showing up, and they left.
Other than DRAKEO, he's the one that told me I was supposed to meet up with Wack. They would then show him a document and ask him, before today, have you ever seen this? And he would respond yes in September of 2023. They would then ask him why did
Family of rapper DRAKEO the Ruler is about to file lawsuits against Live Nation and several promoters behind a concert where the artist was stabbed to death. The rapper, whose real name is Daryl Caldwell, died December 18th while backstage at the Once Upon a Time in LA festival at the Bank of California Stadium in Exposition Park. Lawyers for his family provided this video of a fight backstage where they say DRAKEO was stabbed. They claim Live Nation and several promoters did not provide adequate security for the festival, leading to the artist.
Now, that could be definitely true. That could be definitely true. Live Nation can for sure be responsible for this, because ultimately this is not a Live Nation event. So I'm not sure where the lapse in communication and judgment was. It's just, it's weird. You feel me? I don't know. Just the lapse of judgment, the lapse of communication, the lapse of organizing. This whole situation was doomed to fail. You know, it was doomed to fail. And somehow somebody at Live Nations dropped the ball, because somewhere instead of good business, nigga business was done, and it was at the expense of a multi-million-dollar, probably billion-dollar company. Yeah, this is sick, bro.
It's death.
My son is only 5. He has so many years of his life left to grow up, and when it's gonna even have to start over when it's really time for him to understand, okay, my dad is good going. I'm at this age where I know that I'm not going to see my dad anymore.
We put a call into Live Nation for comment, but have not heard back.
Wow.
If Live Nations has any type of legal representation, their legal representation is saying, you better not comment back. You better shut your ass up.
This is his brother. He just gave me like all the percentage on the song. Well, he did half and half.
A lot of people be talking. The media says what they say.
Mm-hmm.
What was the energy of that day? Like,
Feel like it was just like we was fighting, you know what I'm saying, riot type shit. But other than that shit, it is what it is. Like, interesting.
Ian on that occasion, and he would say, yeah, the detective on the case spoke with me about this. They would then ask him, where did you guys first make contact with security? And he would say on Exposition in Bill Robinson Lane. He then said as he approached the security guard, he would roll down the passenger side window, and the first thing the security said to him was, what's up, blood? Draco's security then said that he gave the security guard that said blood a funny look. Then he looked to his right, and he heard Draco say, what the F? He would then ask him where do they go next, and he would point to the next checkpoint. They would then ask him to explain for the record what what's up blood meant. And he would say that he felt like it was some sort of intimidation factor because everybody knew the car that Draco drove, and he was in all Draco's videos. And don't forget they drove there in Draco's Rolls Royce Dawn. But he would say before they reached the checkpoint, there were a bunch of cars in front of them. And he would say in hindsight, he knew the guys that were directly in front of them. And he would say that he found out that was YG's camp. And he would say that this is all speculation, but he felt like it was an intimidation factor by them saying, what's up, blood? Like you're walking into blood territory.
If that story sounds familiar, then that means you watch my channel. So when I broke down, Draco the Ruler, his security, and his team walked up. A security guard told him, what up, blood? That alarmed Draco. It alarmed the security, and it alarmed people involved. Because if the security knew who Draco was, then he knows Draco don't get along with the blood. So what up, blood and Draco could have ended bad right there. So they just thought, okay, like that's weird, but gave him a pass.
And I'll maintain that that's probably where they should have just said, you know what? We're about to go do something else in our night. Let you niggas have this battle. We're going to live to fight the war. But that's where egos and, you know, arrogance and, you know, being headstrong, that's where all that come into effect.
And that's where this case extends from a chance occurrence between two entourages that led to somebody dying to a conspiracy. And, you know, when they are asking these questions, these questions are very specific. They are very specific. You can damn near hear the RICO being built through the line of questioning. It goes from a chance occurrence to a conspiracy once you put it in factor of, the security guards was allowing all the Bloods to bring in their weapons, but yet they were searching Draco the Ruler and his team. Like Draco's security was not allowed to bring in his gun, even though he's security. So, like, just that alone is conspiracy. Now, if you guys don't know, and I keep saying Live Nation is doing their own investigation too. Live Nation is currently going through multiple lawsuits at this time. They're being sued by Draco the Ruler's son, and they're also being sued by Draco the Ruler's family, both for wrongful death lawsuits. Now, if this investigation escalates, YG can also expect a lawsuit from Draco's son, I would imagine. But because Live Nation is being sued, they want to get down to the bottom of this. And if that security guard was in on this, who hired that security guard? Was he a lone wolf? Was there other security guards who was a part of this? And because this conspiracy is so
this nigga Flakko is taking you down a rabbit hole, ain't he? Man, Flakko belly, all thighs on me is taking you down a rabbit hole. This nigga said he giving up everything. He ain't gonna stop till his conviction.
So complicated and convoluted, it's taking a long time. But right now, people are finally stepping forward and speaking, which is why this investigation is unraveling. I'm not even talking about the deposition. I'm talking about right now, people who were not willing to speak before are finally talking and speaking and opening up. And police is learning more information than they've ever received. Now, I don't know who has sparked the confidence in people to finally come forward and speak, but people who were involved, people who were not involved but were there, they are coming forward and they're giving information, and it's looking bad for YG.
They would then ask him, when you guys entered the grounds of Exposition Park, at that point, what happened next? And he would say that he saw a group in front of them. They were going through the checkpoint, but they're just talking. And he would say that in comparison to the security at Rolling Loud, he would notice that at this concert, there was no dogs going around the car and nobody got out the vehicle to be searched. And he would say that he was watching the group in front of them and he would notice that nobody was taking out the vehicle to be searched. He would
Yeah, Chad, I ain't gonna lie to you. In LA,
that's some shit that you got to pay attention to. You notice how niggas ain't being searched and all that. You got to use your discernment. Hey, I got to get up out of here. They ain't here searching everybody. They're searching me and letting everybody else slide through. Nigga, that's the issue.
Easiest place to be set is to get set up. I went to let's say California. I always said about Complex Con. This is why I like, shit. I learned my lesson with Complex Con. You gotta bring your own security. Like when I go to Complex, like I ain't gonna tell you exactly how on a security level we deal, but I don't rely on Complex for their security. You know why? I remember when 6ix9ine came. Was it 2018? 6ix9ine came. I was trying to get him to perform. Anyway, that got shut down. he pulled up. I remember, I think I was just talking to Nas in the green room. Shout out to Nas. And 6ix9ine hit me like, yo, I'm like 5 away. I'm gonna pull up to this entrance. So anyway, I tell the guy who was my connect at Complex, he's an executive. I say, yo, 6ix9ine's coming. Could you know, make sure, whatever. Bro, they've radioed over the thing. They were like, yo, oh yeah, 6ix9ine's pulling up, blah, blah. Bro, everybody who was security is a gang member. Like, LA is a different place. Everybody's a gang member, my nigga. So like, yo.
I mean, you remember at the BET Awards when the Crip dude from SOS wanted to get into it with T.I. So yeah, man, gangbangers. He a Crip at work. He a blood on the job.
It's like they went to the hood and just gave a bunch of gang members security t-shirts. So like, you know, the gangs were beefing with 6ix9ine. So what they did was, nigga, they tipped off the treetop niggas. That's when they all met at the same. So it's not like 6ix9ine could even sneak in. Like, nigga, he ran into like 12 of them at an entrance. And how did that happen? Well, the security is all gang members. So, you know, I could imagine DRAKEO the ruler. Man, LA's on some gangbanging shit. So I don't know how long he could have avoided running into some shit like that, though. Because anytime they're using security, they're using gang members.
Tell him it was about 2 to 3 vehicles in that group, and they went past the checkpoint. But when they pulled up next to be searched, they would ask him to get out the vehicle, and they would pat his pockets. But he was the only one taken out, and after that, they would allow them to go through. They would then ask him, did there come a time when you saw them cars park and the people exit? And he would respond and say yes, he saw about 10 to 12 people get out the Astro van. But he would say that he didn't see how many got out the other 2 vehicles. They would then ask him if he seen the Astro van with 10 to 12 people being searched at any point, and he would say no, he only seen the driver get out and being pat down. He would then explain how the pat downs, including his, were very, very quick, and they really only checked pockets. They would then ask him if he had to show any passes or any type of identification, and he would say no, they just saw it was DRAKEO, and they let us go. They would then ask him what the 10 to 12 people were wearing, and he would say a lot of red shirts, red jackets, red ski masks.
And this is coming from the 100-page witness account from DRAKEO the Ruler's bodyguard.
Red gloves, red shoes, just everything.
Damn.
He would tell him they weren't only just wearing red, they were throwing up gang signs with their hands.
All right, blood.
And he would notice that they were throwing up the B. And he would explain that they were all taking pictures and that there was a cameraman that was standing behind.
That's why Flakko does that, because Flakko's trying to be Akademiks and he's literally copying Akademiks' moves. Got it.
The cars, just taking pictures. And he would say he was watching his surroundings because he knew everybody knew DRAKEO's vehicle. They would then ask him, when he observed the individuals in the van, was it his understanding that that was YG's crew? And he would respond and say yes. They would ask him, entourage or group? And he would say, yes, I saw YG. He was in front of everybody taking a picture, as if the group was standing behind him and he was singled out in the front.
Oh, that's crucial. That's important. If you rewind to the first minute or 2 minutes of this video, you would understand why that's important. Because you have to be accountable for yourself. Where were you at when this altercation was taking place? What were you doing? Because we answered the question, were you...
That is a very crucial part of the situation. That might be the $1 million question, actually.
Was that because you said you was in the building? Well, where was you at? What was you doing when your security guard and your homies was involved in an altercation with DRAKEO the Ruler's team? Where was you at when DRAKEO the Ruler was stabbed? See, you already got to speaking. You claimed you was walking on stage. You wasn't set to perform until 9:30. This altercation took place at 8:30. So you wasn't walking on stage. So where was you at when this altercation was taking place? Oh, nah, son. You see why it's best to just keep quiet? To just...
The best thing to do probably is to keep quiet. The best thing everybody could have done in the situation was respect their right to remain silent. That was probably the best thing to do.
Because he could have played it, well, I was still outside. No. You was inside. You was in the festival. So from in the festival, where were you at when this altercation was taking place? But it gets worse, though. Because not only do he identify YG from being outside taking pictures, he would also identify YG as being a part of the altercation and claiming that YG, some BPS members, and somebody else had a knife. And they were swinging that knife and slashing that knife all around, even before DRAKEO the Ruler ultimately got stabbed and killed.
They then asked him what was YG wearing, and he would tell him a black ski mask, black shiny jacket, black pants with a red stripe going down the side, and black shiny shoes. They would then ask, so the other guys were wearing red, correct? And he would say yes. And as you can see right here, which would be the video of the situation, you can see the clothes that he's describing. But we're going to dive into that in a little bit. He would then tell them that eventually they parked their vehicles and everybody would gather around. And as they were walking to the gate, Draco turned around to go put something in his vehicle. He would tell them that he forgot what it was, but he believes that it was a bag. And he would say that as they were walking to the vehicle, he would notice that the 400 camp was walking towards them. But he would say that Chief and Heavily also went back to his own vehicle to put something inside of it. But he would say that him and Draco and Chief and Heavily went different ways. He went with Draco, and then Chief and Heavily went a separate way. But as the group regathered, Chief and Heavily would tell him that there was an attempted robbery on his chain. And he would say that after that, Draco said, "What the F? Hell no," and immediately ran back towards the pink lot. Draco's security said that he tried to grab him by his shirt collar, but wasn't able to get him. They would then ask him if he followed Draco to the pink lot. And he would say, "Yes, I immediately tried to grab him." They would then ask him, "Then what happened? Did an altercation ensue?" He would then tell him, "Yeah, but he still wanted to do his job by protecting Draco, and that he didn't want to grab him and fight with him, knowing that all the people were coming towards them." He would then say that the brawl broke out, and he would hit the first person coming towards them. And he would tell him that he also brought a knife in that night, but it was inside of Draco's Rolls Royce. They would then ask him how many people were they fighting, and he would say 20 to 25 people minimum. And they would ask him if he recognized anybody in that group of 25. And he would respond and say, "I only recognize one, YG." And they would ask him, so he was directly involved in the fight? And he would say yes, front and center. He would then say how Draco was standing by his side when he was fighting YG and YG's bodyguard. And he would say that YG produced a knife from his left hand. He would then say that when he seen that, he backed up and Draco was standing by his side the whole time. He would then say that more people began swarming and they would attempt to fight off while backing up. They would then ask him, "So you witnessed YG, who you recognized produced a knife from his sleeve, correct?" And he would respond and say yes. And he would say that he just saw the blade, he didn't see the handle, and that it was a silver blade, almost like a shank made in prison. He told them it was about 3 to 4 inches long, and he was slashing it at him. They would then ask him, did he witness any other knives in the melee? And he would say, yeah, there was a guy on the left of YG that had a knife also. And they would ask him.
That is, again, more damning information. Let me see if Akademiks go forward, though, because we've heard this a million times.
Yeah, niggas going to jail, bro. Niggas is going to jail. And well deserved. I hope.
All right, man. So we finna get up out of here to the next one, man. This is gonna be a tricky, Mickey, Vicky, sticky situation. Red dots to the left. You know the rest, man. Say a prayer and please be blessed. We gone.